time is 9:44 p.m. Good evening. The news headline is a threat to national security and should be arrested. APC Governors Forum slams Shêïkh Gumi. The news in full. Dr. Salihu Lukman, the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum (PGF), which represents the governors of the All Progressive Congress, has chastised Shêïkh Abubakar Gumi, a notorious Kaduna State-based Islamic cleric, for requesting amnesty for bandits spreading mayhem in the north. Gumi's stance, he said, was both a threat to national security and a self-serving venture. In a statement titled Nigerian Democracy and Nation-Building Problems, Lukman criticized Gumi's comparison of northern bandits to Niger State insurgents. He claimed that robbers cannot be compared to Niger Delta militants who were granted amnesty by the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua regime. All arms of the security services have been fully mobilized and are fighting together to smash the bandits in the Zamfara, Katsina and Kaduna forest, he said. Surprisingly, several Nigerian officials have rejected the current military operations against the robbers. So-called media commentators, religious leaders, and others have questioned the government's decision to shut down communication services, marketplaces, and other services in states where military operations are taking place. Military operations against the criminals have already been declared a failure by a religious leader. What a skewed perspective. Perhaps Nigeria should revert to the days when hundreds of millions of dollars meant for weaponry acquisition to combat insurgency, banditry, and other forms of criminality were diverted and distributed to religious leaders for prayers. Rather than mobilizing security forces to combat criminals, resources currently being used to combat insecurity in the country could be allocated to religious leaders to pray for the bandits to return to their senses. Perhaps this is what Shêïkh Ahmad Gumi is teaching when he says the government should provide amnesty to bandits in the north. Similar to how the late President Umaru Yar'Adua's administration dealt with Niger Delta insurgents. Anyone who makes this argument is already contributing to Nigeria's national security issue. Nigerians must rise to the task of policing the behavior of so-called leaders, particularly religious clerics. Because they are jaundiced, most of these leaders are hostile to measures aimed at nation building. Aside the religious clerics, there are other types of leaders in the country that hold similar skepticism. Individuals who in their rights as elders have paid their dues to this country have grown vehemently opposed to the government's every decision and action. However, one looks at it, a nation cannot be developed with leaders and elders who hold opinions that are diametrically opposed to national growth. Nigerians cannot face the threat of insecurity, and some politicians are attempting to undermine the government's efforts to root out the criminal forces responsible for all the country wars, including death of citizens. When leaders disregard government efforts against bandits and rebels, they encourage criminals to continue their malicious activities. Nigerians may feel enraged at the government and political leaders. Under no circumstances should anyone take advantage of Nigerians' rage to covertly encourage illegal activity. If the Nigerian nation is to have a shared goal and a strong national bond, these disputes must have certain specified boundaries. And the news analysis is that the governors forum have actually slammed Shêïkh Gumi for his threats to national security in their words. We know that just of recent, the media advisor to the presidency, Femi Adesina, just slammed Shêïkh Gumi, who happens to be an Islamic cleric who have had access to the bandits to negotiate with them, for peace in the country. and Femi Adesina, after Sheikh Gumi had written during his write-up on Facebook page and some video recordings, where he said that bandits are going nowhere, and Femi Adesina replied in a statement saying that bandits are going somewhere, and the place that they are going to is hell. That despite the way they are doing, causing atrocities and damaging a whole lot of people's life, spoiling a whole lot of properties, making children orphans, making wives widows, making husbands widowers, and yet Sheikh Gumi is seen to be quite on their side, justifying reasons why they are doing so, and this is vehemently a threat to the national security because it seems more to be a self-serving venture. And Femi Adesina described Sheikh Gumi as bandit lovers, and in the writer's analysis here, condemning that Sheikh Gumi was comparing the Niger Delta bandits, Niger Delta insurgents rather, the Niger Delta insurgents to the Fulani herdsmen and the bandits killing. And Lukman is actually telling him that the comparison is out of it because these Niger Delta militants who were granted amnesty by the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua regime, all arms of the security service have actually been mobilized and are fighting together to smash bandits in the Zamfara, Katsina, and the Kaduna forest. Now, the Nigerian officials have rejected the current military operations against the robbers because the Niger Delta militants actually, most of them were ready to succumb to the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua's administration. Unlike these bandits, where they had been given the opportunity, like Femi Adesina pointed to, that they should turn a new leaf, giving them opportunity to stop their ways. A whole lot of them are even being granted amnesty too, and a whole lot of them trying to reinstate them back into the society, and most of them are still not working towards creating peace or making peace with the federal government despite the attempts, and yet Sheikh Gumi is always backing them up, and this seems to be a rough edge on the combating insecurity as the federal government have been doing. Perhaps Sheikh Gumi is actually looking for a way to provide amnesty to bandits in the north, despite the way they are actually causing havoc to the country. And the writer is actually saying that this argument should be out of it, and we should be concerned about Nigeria's national security, and that if these bandits are not ready to stop what they are doing that is affecting the country, then the federal government needs to make sure that they oppose them diametrically, because it is a threat to insecurity and the lives and properties of the people. Thanks for listening. Good evening.